This video is sponsored by OWC. iOS 16.2 Beta 3 is officially available, and there are a couple of features worth highlighting, and so let's just go ahead and jump right into some of those features. And we'll start with one of the biggest ones that I think a lot of people have actually been requesting and really wanted, and that's improvements to always on display. So let's go right into settings, because this is where those changes lie. And if you go into settings and under display and brightness, go down to always on display, you'll see that now you have the ability to turn off your wallpaper and turn off notifications. And I don't know if I would want to turn off notifications, but I totally understand why people might want to turn off their wallpaper. I have a friend who actually mentioned to me recently that, maybe they don't want a picture of their kids constantly showing to other people, especially if you're at work and you leave your phone there and maybe you just kind of walk away for a little bit. People can see the picture that you might have, and if you don't want to share that with everyone, well, then the only other solution at the time was to just turn off always on display. So now what you can do here is you can actually just turn off your wallpaper. Or if you don't want people to see what notifications you might be getting, especially in the workplace, you can also turn that off as well. And you can just see your widgets and the time, and everything else will just be black. And so let me show you that right now. So if we turn off, we'll turn off wallpaper first. Now we turn off the display, and you'll see here that it is just a black display with the focus mode that I have on and any notifications that might be here, which I currently don't have any. And so I guess this kind of shows you what it would be like if you had no notifications and no wallpaper. It would just be up here. You would have your widgets and the time. And I kind of wish there was a way to turn off the widgets too, if you had some sensitive information, maybe like I have the calendar events, and say I had another sensitive piece of information in the widget there, and I just didn't want that always on. You could potentially turn that off maybe in the future, that might come, but right now you see your widgets and your time. And for reference, here's another device that's not on the beta, and so as you can see here, wallpaper, when I tap it, my wallpaper shows up. On the one on the left, which is running the beta 3. And when I turn them both off, this one dims down, but you still see the purple wallpaper. And of course, the one on the left running the beta is just having a black screen. And so, yeah, that's a major change. I know it doesn't sound like one, but it definitely is. And I think it's a welcome feature that a lot of people have been asking for. And so you have that inside of beta 3 for 16.2. And when 16.2 launches probably next month here in December, you will have that availability to mess around with always on display. Real quick, before we touch on some of the other features, the other biggest change actually comes in iPadOS 16.2 Beta 3, and it's with the M2 or M1 capable iPads. External monitor support is back, but one of the biggest changes is that now you can drag and drop a window from your iPad to your external monitor, and it basically will move the window and resize itself to fit that monitor. And you couldn't do that before. You couldn't, you could go, have your mouse navigate from one to the other, but you couldn't drag an application that was already open on your iPad over to your external monitor. And now this is something that, you've been able to do forever on a Mac. When you had a monitor on one display, when you had an app on one monitor, you could drag it to the other. Well, now you can do that on the iPad, getting it so much more close to being a desktop-like experience with your iPad. And so I wanted to highlight that because that is kind of a major new feature that you could have with external display support on the iPad in 16.2 Beta 3. Now heading back over to 16.3 on the iPhone, if we go into settings here, which I'm going to do that right now. If we go into settings and under accessibility, go down to Siri. And here we have the under spoken responses. Now, if you remember back when they enabled type to Siri, if you turned that on and you typed to Siri, you got silent responses back. And so it was a way to kind of interact with Siri without, making a big public display out of it. If you didn't want people to hear what you were saying, and if you didn't want to hear the responses back, you could turn that on. But I kind of like the idea of being able to still speak to Siri, but Siri doesn't speak back to me. And now you can do that by going to prefer silent responses. And then as you can see here, I can say, what is the weather? And as you can see here, it is actually not reading the response back to me, but it is giving me a little pop-up window of some of the requests. And I can say, you know, what is today's date? And it'll tell me there. Who is the current president of the United States? And so yeah, you can have silent responses turned on automatically. You can have spoken responses always turned on, or you can go back to automatic where it will kind of fluctuate between the two. And another change inside of 16.2 for beta 3 here, if we go back into settings and head into, I believe it is TV, you'll see that there is a live activities. Where is that at? Yeah, live activities right here. And now you can turn on more frequent updates. Now this isn't available for third-party apps, I do not believe. I believe it's just for the TV app, obviously, since it was in the TV section. But you can have more frequent updates so that live activities is getting that information faster. But of course, as you can see here, it's going to drain your battery faster. And so up to you on whether or not you want that on, or you can toggle it off. And that's it for some of the bigger, more noticeable changes inside of 16.2 beta 3. Of course, you can check out the link in the description down below for all of the bugs that were fixed and all of the new minor features that might have been added and visualization changes to 16.2. And I would love to know in the comments down below what you think. I think of some of the bigger features like the changes to always on display and the iPad external monitor support being able to drag and drop apps. Let me know about those and everything else in the comments down below. Before we end today's video, I do want to give you more information about today's sponsor, OWC. Now, I'm not sure how many of you know this out there, but OWC sells used Macs that you can actually go on the OWC website and configure to your liking. That's right. There are configuration options available for used Macs, and they come in fantastic condition. We've actually had a few used products from OWC in the past, and it's pretty much like new every single time. And if you go on the website, there are tons of options from Macs with Apple Silicon to some older Macs. And again, you can configure the amount of processing power that you might have, the GPU potentially, RAM. You can go ahead and configure all of these options just like it seems as if you were configuring your new Mac from Apple's website. It kind of reminds me of the same thing, but you're going to be backed with OWC's expert team for support and a warranty, but also you can get up to 2 years of added protection. And of course, there's a 100% 14-day money-back guarantee if you end up not liking your used Mac. But it's not just limited to Macs, although you can get a MacBook Pro, even Apple Silicon MacBook Pros, MacBook Airs, regular MacBooks, but there's also iMacs, iMac Pros, Mac Pros, a Mac Studio, Mac Mini, iPhones, tablets, displays, etc. The list goes on. So go ahead and check out OWC's website. Click the link in the description down below, and you can check out all of the used Macs, tablets, iPhones, etc. All of the Apple products with that peace of mind, warranty, and money-back guarantee that you get from OWC. This has been Dan with Mac Rumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.